Welcome back, my favorite Python programmers, to a brand new video, and in this one we're going to be doing 3 different Python quizzes. Yes, 3. So if you haven't been up to speed on my channel, I've stopped posting, then I started posting again, then I stopped posting again, but now I am back and I will be posting 3 times a week, and in between I'll also be posting shorts where I'm going to be showing you different types of coding advice, things that you should be looking out for, and how to practice on your own when you don't have me as your private or personal tutor right here. So make sure to like this video, make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all of these videos. And also, by the way, if you didn't know, I'm not just a YouTuber, I have my own private Python teaching institute. If you're serious about leveling up your Python skills, let me tell you about what I do outside of YouTube. I've been teaching Python for over 5 years now, and I run a Python teaching institute where we help students go from complete beginners to absolute masters with a curriculum that focuses on practical application and building real-world skills. All the lessons are one-on-one and they are personalized just for you. This tailored approach ensures that you'll start seeing improvement within just 2 weeks, and by the 10th week you'll be on your way to mastery. And it's not just Python either. We dive into SQL, machine learning, and you'll graduate with over 5 portfolio projects to help you stand out to your employers. Oh, and for young learners, we also have a super fun Scratch program that starts with Scratch coding and gradually introduces Python through game development projects. So if you feel that this is something that you want to reach your goals faster, or you have someone that you love that you want to give them this opportunity to, or some younger kid, maybe yours, maybe someone else's, that you want them to learn Python and coding properly from a young age, make sure to reach out to me via WhatsApp on the number that I'll leave right here or in the description, or you can do the same by sending me an email to the email that I will leave somewhere around here or also in the description. Thank you so much, and let's get started with today's lesson. Alright, so the first quiz, as you can see right here, is about what a function actually returns. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all run this. These are the possible outputs for our code, and what I want you to do is I want you to take a look at this and think of what the output is going to be when I run this code. Take your time. This is not an easy one. At first glance it might seem like, yeah, this is pretty simple, it will just print out play. But if you look closely, you'll notice that we're actually printing out the play function once it's called. So when this function is called right here, you'll see that it runs the following line of code. So play is going to be printed out. These are the same functions. When I double click, they are both highlighted. But what is the problem right here? What is the little trick? The trick is that we're printing out the return value of this function. And you'll notice that this function doesn't actually return anything. And for that reason, it's going to also return none, but it returns play. So it's going to be none and play, or play and none. Which one do you think is going to be? Well, first of all, we've established that it's not going to be an error, so we can exclude that. And when I right click and I run, you'll see that it should be play and then run. Play, oh, I meant play and then none, not play and then run. Play and then none. And why is the play displayed first? Because when you call this function, right, it's called, we get to this line, we print out the play, and then we try to go to the return, there is none, and then we go back. So play gets printed out, and then we get none afterwards. All right, so this was the first one. A lot of students make this mistake. This is why I've showed you this. They always think like, yeah, it's just play. But then they forget that there's the return value of the function, which makes the whole difference. Let's move on to the second one. So right here, I'm going to right click and I'm going to run, and these are the possible answers. Now, please, this one is not easy. Pause the video, take your time, try to find the solution for this. I will wait for you. Of course, you can pause at any time, so I'm not gonna wait. All right, so what do we have in here? This one is actually a bit more complicated. As you can see, this is a recursive function. And basically a recursive function is whenever a function calls itself inside. So you can see that this is solve A and B, and this one is also solve A and B. So I will comment out this printout and I will uncomment the following. So this is what we are waiting for. We have provided the values 20 and 50. And what does this do? Well, this is a common function pattern that allows us to find the, wait, let me make sure that I don't get this wrong. Allows us to find the greatest common divisor. So what is the greatest common divisor between these two? And this symbol right here gives us the residue, or whatever is left after a division. So for example, if you divide 4 by 2, you're left with 0. But if you divide 5 by 2, you're left with 1, right? In this case, we're talking about not having any floating points, of course. So what's happening in here is we're saying we want to return B. And by the way, we also have this if statement on a single line. Now the official name for this is ternary expression in Python. I've never used that. I just say if statement on a single line because ternary is just hard for me to say. So if statement on a single line, it's not that big of a problem. It's just, you can see if A, basically we want B if A is equal to 0, else we solve. So either B, else solve this if A is equal. It's a bit of a jargon. If you don't feel comfortable with this one, you can just leave a comment and I will show you how this one should be written the other way around without the ternary expression. So what's happening right here is we've provided 20 and 50. So if we look right here, A is going to be 20 and B is going to be equal to 50. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get my there we go, my handy Wacom, which will allow me to draw on the screen. If it turns on, there we go. And I'm going to show you what the heck is happening. So I'm going to actually take a screenshot, full screenshot. If this works. Nope, it just froze. Perfect. I love this. All right, there we go. After a lot of wasting time, we finally got this to work. So what is happening in here? First of all, we have B as 50 and A as 20. So we're saying return B if A is equal to 0. So obviously, since A is 20, it's not gonna return 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right here. So what is the leftover? What's left over after we divide 50 by 20? Well, obviously, when you use 2, this is minus 40, and then you are left with 10. So this is the remainder. So we're calling solve, I'm just gonna call it S, and right now with 10 being the remainder, so it's going to be solve 10, and then A is going to stay whatever it was, which was 20. So right here, we have 10, 20. So now we go back to the solve function right here, and it says again, return B if A is equal to 0. And right now, A is just equal to 10. Otherwise, we're going to do B with whatever the remainder is when it's divided by A. So we're going to have right now B is 20, correct? Just like we saw right here. This is B, this is B, this is A. So 20 divided by 10. And when we do 2, it's going to be minus 20 and the remainder is 0. So now we call S as A, which is 0, and then we have B, or actually, sorry, right here, A, which is 10. Perfect. So now we go back to solve, and it's B if A is equal to 0. So A is equal to 0 this time, which means we return B, which means we should have the output as A equals 10. So let's go ahead and test it out. Let's see what happens when we go back right here, and I right click, and I run. Perfect, we get 10. So this one was a bit complicated. If you did not know how to solve it, that's not an issue, don't worry about it. It's not an easy one to solve. Even when I looked at it, I hate recursive functions, by the way. I prefer not to use them, but sometimes you cannot avoid them. Let's look at the final quiz that we have right here, which is calculating the range. This one is a bit easier if you know your ranges, but it has fooled a lot of my very experienced students. So I'm going to right click and run just to show you the possible outputs. and I'm going to comment and uncomment some of the lines right here. So feel free to pause the video, think about it, don't rush to the answer, always take your time. Even if you think that you know exactly what's gonna be the answer, I always recommend that you try to solve it. Time's up. So what do we have in here? So we're simply calling a function. There's no trickery. We're not trying to print it out. We're simply calling it. So what does this function do? So we've defined the calc range, and we're saying for x in range going from 22 ending at 23 with a step of 24. So this is the start, stop, and the step. And remember that the start is included, the start is included, the stop is not included, and then we have the step which jumps over. So what is actually happening in here? Well, when we say range 22, we're saying that we start at 22, right? So the first value of x right here in the for loop is 22. Then we're saying that we wanted to stop at 23 with a step of 24. So when we go from 22 and we jump of a step with 24, we're basically overstepping the 23 completely. So it's not going to be 21, so we can take that off. It's not going to be 23, and it's not going to be 24. Is it going to be 22, or is it not going to be any output at all? And this is where students face the biggest problem. Sometimes it's easy for them, like, yeah, of course it's not no output at all, right? We're just jumping over. But the thing is that we actually start off with the first value included, and that is why the answer is going to be B, which is 22. So when I right click and I run, there we go, we get 22. Now for some of you, this might have been super trivial. You're like, this is not even worthy of a quiz, but trust me, sometimes people fall in that little hole and they're not sure what the output is going to be, and it's a bit confusing. If you learned something from this video, please make sure to like it, share it with someone who you want to make smarter. And also, as I told you, I have a private Python teaching institute. If you want to join, make sure to just contact me via email, via number. You can even follow me on Instagram where I post the videos. As I told you, I will be posting much more until I don't know how long. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, so that you get notified whenever I upload. And yeah, that's basically it. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.